Hey everybody, I am at the Booker T. Washington National Memorial. It's near Roanoke. It's about a half hour from my mom's house. I believe this is probably Moneta, Virginia, but I'm not absolutely positive because I didn't see a sign. I'm headed towards the visitor center. You can hear a siren up on the road. I'll film a little more when I get in here. Ciao. This is the entry, and you notice there's a split rail fence. It looks pretty new. Where I grew up in Hot Springs, there were split rail fences all over the place made of chestnut wood, which there was a big chestnut blight early in the last century that killed off all the trees. They used to be the next tier over top of the oaks. They were huge, and when they went into bloom, it was like snow on the ground. Anyways, not really sure what this plant is, but it's very pretty. And I can smell this honeysuckle. That's just lovely. This is in the cemetery at the top of the hill that was the plantation cemetery. Thought I'd walk up the hill to show you the old stones. But I'm going to go ahead and head back down to the visitor center. It isn't blooming, but it is plantain. It has a stalk with a thing on the top that's we used to wrap the stalk around and shoot them. Used it as a toy. And some buttercup and clover. That almost looks like dandelion leaf, but I don't think it is. But these are made. Well, here we are at the visitor center. I'm getting ready to go in a couple of minutes. I wanted to get a good shot of this bust. Get that in. It's a little blurry from back here. A race like an individual lifts itself up by lifting others up. Got a happy bird in the background. I'll try to get all this in within the next 30 seconds before the video quits. A great man. Glad they have this here. It's certainly a beautiful day. The visitor center was quite interesting, even had a movie. This was a tobacco farm where Booker T. Washington was born. Just look at all that land. Oh, I see some sheep over there in the pasture. Well, let's head on down towards the garden. Well, the garden is up the hill behind me, but this is a pigsty. I see somebody taking a little nap in there. He's a big one too. Oh, he's trying to talk to me. Hard to see him in the camera, but there he is with the white snout. This appears to be a turkey pen. See him in there? Let's try to get that better in focus. Hey, Mr. Turkey. Yeah, you hear me. That's kind of interesting. See your coop over there. Past the turkey pen again, and there's a couple of ducks sitting in the shade right at the bottom on the left. Pan around here, and as you see, there's mechanical work going on rather than human labor, as would have been a couple hundred years ago, or even 100 years. And an old stone trough. I find that very interesting. I've never seen that before. Very cool. Here's an old outbuilding full of stuff. I don't know if we can see anything in there between these slats. Nah, not really. Yeah, great old barn. I just love that. The gutters are made of wood. Never seen that before. Even in colonial Williamsburg, I don't think I've noticed that. Yeah, there's a couple of horses. Here's the garden. That's a grape arbor down there. And this is a slave cabin. Let's go inside real quick. They used this in the movie. But can you imagine a mother in Booker T, Washington, and 2 siblings lived all in this one room? Now there was an attic that you could access from outside. There's a ladder. That looks like a brand new mantelpiece. But boy, just having a wooden door to close would not keep the bitter winds out during the winter, that's for sure. But how interesting, a gourd ladle, another gourd ladle, spit over the fire for cooking. You see it? Bring that out, put the pot on it, big old cast iron pot. That's the slave cabin I was just in. A little kitchen garden beside it, another outbuilding. And this apparently is the smokehouse. See, there's vents to allow the smoke to come out. And I'm assuming this is a smokehouse because I see some meat hanging, which does not look very appetizing to me. But there's a few tools in here as well. And it looks like a sawhorse, a couple of crocks, a wooden bucket, a wooden mallet, grinding wheel, and a dirt floor, which I guess that's where they would have had the fire. Interesting stuff. Well, let's head on down a little farther. Oh, actually right here I noticed what appears to be some foundation stones. They're just flagstones, but I'm guessing there was a foundation here. This is the kitchen garden beside the slave quarters. This is wormwood, and that was used in Europe to make absinthe, which was the cure that would turn your brain to jello because of the opiates. Sage, catmint, valerian, thyme, lamb's ear, borage, costmary. I can't really read this one. Blood duck runin? I'm not sure. Comfrey. Get the nice little flowers on the comfrey. And this is tansy. Heard of it, not familiar. Quite interesting. And this is terra. Look at the grasses and the lawn here. Well, this is just a field, but it reminds me of the lawn at the motel where I grew up, because it used to be a hayfield years and years before. And here's a close-up of one of those wooden gutters, shake roof. This is the blacksmith's shop. I find very interesting. And here's a big old lizard. Isn't that cool? He let me take a close-up picture of him a little bit ago. And see, that's the blacksmith shop. Handle, grinding stone, a couple of plows back there, and a bellows. Cool. That's really pretty neat. Step over this tiny fence. I'm sure it's okay to be in here. Work the bellows. And enjoying walking down this little trail. The bugs are terrible though in the shade. But coming up on the tobacco barn. The overhang at the barn is this old wagon. You see this is the brake. Kind of neat. Well, and that yoke thing, I've got one of those at home that belonged to my grandpa. I'm assuming it was for plowing rather than on a wagon. And this is the tobacco barn. And as you see, there's a little bit of tobacco hanging up there. You see how high that is. It's 2 stories. And they just hung the tobacco in here to dry until they could package it for shipment. But that was a major cash crop here in Virginia and the South altogether. Let's walk on in. As you see there, the samples here are pretty well dried. Well, Booker T. Washington grew up here on the Burroughs plantation. It's been a very interesting day going through the outbuildings. The people here, they couldn't work for money. They worked to make the farm profitable so they wouldn't get sold away as cash. Now the Burroughs family lived in the big house. which growing up, there was a mansion on the hill that they called the Big House. And my grandfather worked for the Baron and Baroness Rosencrantz at Roselaw Manor. So my mom would go up to the Big House to listen outside to the radio. Interesting stuff. And I guess that was down from slave days, calling it the Big House. Here they called it the Big House because it was the home of the slave owner's family. Still, and it's so sad, people being bought and sold. I just can't imagine it. I'm heading back to Mom's house in Hollands. That was a really nice purple clover. But I found this stop off where I could take a nice picture of this valley. This is just absolutely beautiful. Now this is the mountains I grew up in. And I really miss them. Living in Florida is just not the same. I can smell horse manure. Reminds me of being a kid. Cows, horses. Oh, there's the car. Well, I figured I'd give you a nice panorama here in the mountains of Virginia.